Ogonna's heart was beating fast. As she ran through the thick forest, the tall trees seemed to close in around her, making it hard to see. The air felt heavy, and she could hear footsteps behind her, getting closer and closer. The village youths were shouting to each other, their voices full of anger. She was scared as she hid behind a big tree, pressing herself against the rough bark. She had never been this frightened before, not even when she heard the scary stories about the village dark secret as a child. This was different. It was real, and it was happening because she had broken the rules.
Ogonna, we know you are hiding him. You can't keep him safe from us.
They shouted.
If you don't give him up, you will face a terrible punishment, one that even your father can't save you from.
Once upon a time, in the middle of a thick forest, there was a village called Adazi. This village was hidden from the outside world, and everyone in the nearby villages was scared of it because of a terrible secret the people of Adazi had. A secret so scary that no one dared to visit. The villagers had a frightening tradition. It was said that they captured and ate any outsider who came into their village. People would say, the people of Adazi are wicked. They are cannibals. This cruel practice had been going on for many years, and no one ever questioned it. But everything started to change when Ogonna grew up. Ogonna was a beautiful girl, known in her village, Adazi, for being kind and gentle. Unlike the other villagers, she often wondered why they had to keep doing such cruel things. She would sit by the river with her long black hair flowing like the water and think about the world outside the forest. Ogonna had never met anyone from outside her village, but she had heard stories about travelers who came and never left. Even though the stories were scary, she couldn't stop thinking that there was more to life than what she had been taught. One sunny afternoon, while Ogonna was gathering firewood along the village pathway, she saw a young man walking towards her. He was tall and handsome, with curious eyes that seemed to notice everything around him. Ogonna's heart started beating fast. This was the first time she had ever seen someone from outside the village. The young man was a tourist named Chike, who came to the forest because he had heard mysterious stories about it and wanted to learn more about the village of Adazi. But he didn't know the danger that was waiting for him there.
Good afternoon,
Chike said, with a friendly smile.
My name is Chike. I am visiting this area to learn more about your village and its history. I have heard it's a place full of secrets.
Ogonna hesitated for a moment, knowing what would happen to him if he stayed. But something in Chike's eyes made her want to talk to him more. She smiled back, her heart beating quickly.
My name is Ogonna, she said. This village is not what you think. You should leave while you still can.
But Chike was intrigued by Ogonna's words, and instead of leaving, he asked if he could walk with her. Ogonna knew she should refuse, but she couldn't bring herself to push him away. There was something about Chike that made her feel alive in a way she had never felt before. For the next few days, Chike and Ogonna met in secret. away from the eyes of the villagers. They walked through the forest, talking about the world beyond Adazi, and laughed together as if they had known each other for years. Ogonna found herself falling in love with Chike, and she knew he felt the same. But with each passing day, her fear grew. She knew that the village elders would soon discover Chike's presence, and when they did, he would be in great danger. One evening, as they sat by the river, Chike took Ogonna's hand in his.
Ogonna, I know there is something you are not telling me. I can see it in your eyes. Whatever it is, you don't need to carry it alone. I am here with you.
Ogonna felt tears welling up in her eyes. She couldn't keep the truth from him any longer.
Chike, you don't understand,
she said, her voice trembling.
My village, they are planning to capture you. They eat outsiders, and they have already made arrangements to take you. I don't know how much time we have left.
Chike stared at her in shock, the gravity of her words sinking in.
But why? Why would they do such a thing?
It's a tradition,
Ogonna explained, her voice filled with sorrow.
They believe it's necessary to keep our village strong and protected. But I can't let them hurt you. I have fallen in love with you, Chike, and I won't let them take you.
Chike squeezed her hand, his expression serious.
We will find a way out of this, Ogonna, together.
Ogonna nodded in agreement, determination filling her heart. She knew what she had to do. That night, she snuck Chike into a hidden cave deep within the forest, a place known only to her. It was a small dark space, but it was safe, at least for now.
You must stay here,
Ogonna instructed him.
The villagers will search for you, but they won't find you if you stay hidden. I will bring you food and water, but you must promise me you won't leave until I come for you.
Chike nodded in agreement.
I promise. I will stay here and wait for you, Ogonna. Please don't disappoint me.
Ogonna returned to the village, her heart heavy with worry. As she had feared, the village youth had already begun their search for the outsider. They combed the forest, looking for any sign of Chike, but no one found him. Days passed, and the villagers grew more and more frustrated. One evening, after another fruitless search, the village elders called for a meeting.
Someone in this village knows where the outsider is hiding,
the head elder declared, his voice cold and stern.
We will find him, and they will pay for their betrayal.
She couldn't let the villagers discover Chike, but she also couldn't bear to see anyone else suffer because of her. She had to make a choice that could cost her everything. The next morning, as the village was still waking up, Ogonna walked to the center of the village and stood before the elders. Her heart pounded in her chest, but she kept her head held high.
I know where the outsider is, she announced,
her voice steady. The villagers gasped, and the elders turned to her with narrow eyes.
Where is he?
The head elder demanded. Ogonna took a deep breath.
He's gone. I sent him away because I couldn't let you harm him. I love him, and I would rather face whatever punishment you have for me than see him hurt." The village fell silent. The elders exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. Finally, the head elder spoke.
You have betrayed your own people, Ogonna. You know the law. Those who betray the village must face the consequences. Ogonna braced herself, ready to accept whatever fate awaited her.
But then, an elder, an old woman with kind eyes, stepped forward.
"The law is clear,"
She said softly.
"We cannot eat our own. Ogonna must be spared."
The villagers murmured in agreement, and the head elder nodded reluctantly.
You are right,
He considered.
but Ogonna's actions has put us all at risk. The outsider may return with others to seek revenge.
Ogonna shook her head.
Chike will not return with harm. He is different. He will not betray us.
The old woman placed a hand on Ogonna's shoulder.
"Perhaps it is time we reconsider our ways.
She said, her voice filled with wisdom.
We have lived in fear for too long, believing that we must harm others to protect ourselves. But maybe, just maybe, there is another way."
The villagers looked at each other, the weight of her words sinking in. For generations, they had followed the old ways without question, believing it was the only path to survival. But now, as they looked at Ogonna, who had risked everything for love, they began to see that there might be a different way. The head elder sighed, his shoulders sagging with the burden of leadership.
Perhaps it is time for change.
He admitted.
We must learn that all human lives matter, not just our own. If we continue down this path, we will only bring destructions upon ourselves.
Ogonna's heart swelled with hope. Could it be true? Could her village really change? The old woman smiled at her.
"Ogonna, you have shown us a new path, a path of love and compassion. We will no longer harm outsiders. Instead, we will welcome them, learn from them, and grow stronger together."
The villagers nodded in agreement, their hearts lifted by the prospect of a bright future. Ogonna felt tears of relief and joy welled up in her eyes. So she went back into the deep forest to bring Chike out of the cave. She had saved Chike, and in doing so, she had saved her village from its own darkness. Ogonna's heart felt light as she walked through the village, seeing her people begin to change. But in the city, far from the peaceful forest of Adazi, there was panic. Chike's family and friends had not heard from him in days. His sudden disappearance has caused great worry, especially after they learned he had ventured into the mysterious village of Adazi. Chike's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Okoye, were beside themselves with worry. They had tried calling him, but his phone was off. They contacted his friends, but no one has seen or heard from him. It wasn't long before rumors started circulating, rumors about Adazi. The village shrouded in mystery and fear.
He went there.
Chike's mother cried, clutching her husband's arm.
Why would he go to such a dangerous place? We have to do something. We have to find him.
Mr. Okoye, a man known for his calm personality, was equally shaken. He immediately began making calls to anyone he thought could help. He called the police, local government officials, and even a few old friends in high places. Chike's co-workers too were worried and began spreading the word, hoping someone could provide information on his whereabouts.
We need to act fast,
Mr. Okoye said, his voice firm as he spoke to the police commissioner.
My son is in danger, and I need every resource available to find him and bring him back safely.
The commissioner, moved by the desperate father's plea, assured him that they would do everything in their power to locate Chike. A search party was quickly organized, and soon a convoy of trucks filled with armed security personnel, policemen, and worried family members set out for Adazi. The atmosphere was tense. They didn't know what they would find, but they were prepared for the worst. As the convoy approached the village, the usual quiet forest was filled with the sound of engines and the murmur of anxious voices. The people of Adazi were still shaken by what happened and by Ogonna's brave actions. When they heard the loud trucks driving into the village square, they looked up scared. The villagers felt a wave of fear because they had never seen such a big, frightening group before. Ogonna, who had been tending to her daily chores, rushed to the square when she heard the commotion. Her heart sank when she saw the armed men stepping out of the truck, their expressions grim and determined. Among them she spotted Chike's parents, their faces pale with worry.
Chike!
Mrs. Okoye cried as she saw her son step out from among the villagers. Tears streamed down her face as she ran to him, pulling him into a tight embrace.
Thank God you are safe.
We thought we had lost you. Chike held his mother close, relief washing over him.
I am okay, Mom. I am okay. Thanks to Ogonna.
Mr. Okoye approached Ogonna, his eyes filled with gratitude.
You saved my son's life,
he said, his voice thick with emotion.
I don't know how to thank you.
But before Ogonna could respond, the police commissioner stepped forward, his eyes sweeping over the villagers.
We have heard disturbing reports about this village,
he said, his voice loud and commanding.
We understand there is a long-standing tradition here that involves harming outsiders. That ends today.
The villagers, already shaken by the recent turn of events, stood in stunned silence. The head elder, who had been so adamant about maintaining their tradition, lowered his head. Unable to meet the commissioner's gaze, the old woman who had supported Ogonna stepped forward, her voice steady and clear.
We have realized our mistakes,
she said, her tone filled with both sorrow and determination.
We have lived in darkness for too long, believing that harming others was the only way to protect ourselves. But Ogonna has shown us a new way, a way of love and understanding. We are ready to change.
The commissioner nodded, but his expression remained stern.
Change is good, but you must understand the gravity of what you have done. Lives have been lost because of these practices. There must be accountability.
As the officers began to move forward, ready to make arrests, Chike stepped between them and the villagers.
Please,
He said, holding up his hands.
I understand that justice must be served, but these people are willing to change. They've already begun to understand that what they've done is wrong. Arresting them will only bring more pain and suffering.
The commissioner hesitated, considering Chike's words. He could see the sincerity in the young man's eyes, and he could sense the genuine remorse among the villagers. After a long moment, he turned to his men and gestured for them to stand down.
We will not arrest anyone today,
The commissioner announced.
but know this. If there is ever any report of harm coming to anyone in this village again, we will return and there will be no mercy.
The villagers nodded in agreement, their relief palpable. The head elder, who had remained silent until now, finally spoke.
We will not return to our old ways.
He vowed.
We will build a new future for Adazi, one where all are welcomed and all lives are respected.
Ogonna, standing beside Chike, felt tears of gratitude welling up in her eyes. She had feared the worst, but now there was hope. The village of Adazi was changing, and for the first time in her life, she felt proud of her people. As the convoy prepared to leave, Chike's parents approached Ogonna once more.
You have a place in our family now, Mrs. Okoye said, smiling through her tears. If you ever need anything at all, you just need to ask.
Ogonna smiled, feeling a warmth in her heart she had never known before.
Thank you, she said softly. But my place is here in Adazi. There is much work to be done, and I want to help my people build a better future.
Chike took her hand, squeezing it gently.
And I will be right here with you.
He promised.
Together, we will make this village a place of peace and love.
The villagers watched as the convoy slowly drove away, the tension of the past few days finally easing. The head elder called for a meeting that evening, where the villagers discussed their new path forward. They spoke of education, of learning new trades, and of welcoming visitors with open arms and rather than fears. And so, the people of Adazi lived happily ever after. I hope you enjoyed the story.